Guys, ammunition for this video has been provided by Browne Works Inc., manufacturer of fine custom handgun grips. If you guys are looking for very unique, very customized handgun grips for your favorite handgun, contact Mark at Browne Works Inc., link in the description below, and create something beautiful for your favorite handgun. And don't forget to tell them Wyoming Gun Project sent you. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So today we have a super cool AK to show you. This is the Norinco Type 84S, and it is chambered in 5.56 millimeter, which you can kind of tell because of its distinctive straighter mag right there. We'll talk about the mags in a minute. So yeah, this is a rifle that has not been imported in about 36 years. This was on the list. All the Chinese AKs were on the 89 importation ban list that Bush 41 signed in. And you could tell by the distinctive like orange colored wood that it's an Norinco. Also, they'll have the brass pin up there on the fore end. There it is. These are blued AKs. So the Chinese blued these back in the day. This has a 1.5 millimeter thick receiver. Okay. It does also has, the Chinese guns also have a distinctive rivet pattern. Usually it's one on top of the other and then right there. But this is kind of a triangle or pyramid pattern. You know, it's my understanding, and AK experts correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's my understanding that they basically took their popular Type 56S, which is chambered in 7.62 by 39, and just chambered it for the 5.56. So on these rifles, the barrels, let me take this mag out so I don't smash into anything. It's my understanding the trunnion, the barrel, see how thick it is? It's like a 30 cal barrel that they rifled for 5.56. They took the 30 cal trunnion and did that. The 30 cal bolt carrier. It is basically a 30 cal gun that they cut the bolt face for 5.56 and they chambered and cut the barrel for 5.56. So that's why it's so thick and heavy. This is normally, it's my understanding, a 30 cal barrel. And I'll show you some of the things internally why I think that's the case and why that's what I have heard. Let's start at the front in this detailed tabletop portion. So you have very distinctive 84S 5.56 flash hider, muzzle brake, whatever. It's super cool looking. I dig that, man. You know, the hooded front sight. There you go with the hooded front sight. 45-degree gas block. Gas tube has vent holes in both sides there on it. Again, you know, all this stuff is just standard, really kind of standard AK stuff. You know, forged trunnion, all that. These are these considered very well made AKs. The Chinese ones in general. The problem with them is nowadays is that they are very expensive and pretty rare. You can go on GB and still find them. They command a high price, especially depending on condition, unfired, you know, if they're unfired in the box with all the accoutrements and all that other kind of stuff. Standard regular ones are going to be over 2,000 chicken nuggets. So you're looking at that type of price there. Again, smooth popsicle stick grip. You know, they have, and the Chinese guns also have something different from the Russian and the European guns, is they have a raked stock. We could probably get a better look of that outside when we do the range portion, but you can kind of see it right here. It rakes downward more than the European ones. Trapdoor for a cleaning kit, which this one does come with the cleaning kit right there. So that's really cool. Get that back in there. There we go. Yeah, you know, rivet job on this looks great. Safe, just safe and fire right there. Standard safety, no tactical little, safety that they have nowadays on AKs. This is a very retro gun that hasn't been imported in about 36 years. Let's go look at the other side. There's the distinctive brass rivet in the front. This is from the Triangle 66 guns. There you see it says 84S. Made in China by Norinco. Apparently, Norinco is like a conglomerate, and the Pyramid 66 factory is like code for a bunch of different other factories. There's some history out there on these. If you search on the internet, you can get a solid history on these guns, but they are really cool. So, made in China by Norinco, imported by CSI, California, Los Angeles, US. So there were several different importers of these over the years. Some of them also have the Norinco star up here, and some of them don't. So there's kind of, you guys, some of these guns were kind of hodgepodges of you would get certain, they would be different rolling changes, and you would get some that would have the Norinco star right here. It says Norinco, some that don't, some that were imported in Texas, some that were imported in not Upland, but Northern California. Some were imported into LA. Somewhere there was, I think they changed importers and locations several different times. So yeah, this one was brought in through LA. CSI, I think it's China Sports International or Incorporated or something like that. Of course, it has the dimples in the receiver. Again, thicker receiver. Standard stamped dust cover that is non-ribbed. By the way, the Chinese guns will always match. If they are matching, you're going to get the last four of the serial number on the dust cover. Of course, it's on the trunnion for the receiver here, but you'll get it on the carrier, the bolt carrier, all that kind of stuff. So let me crack this sucker open and show you what I mean. Here, so I don't bash stuff all over the place. Let me rack it there. And, the carriers are in the white. There are some of the 56Ss that were imported. Those are the 7.62x39 guns that were imported that do have like a blued or a blacked carrier and bolt. But most of the Chinese guns are, you're going to find the bolt carrier group and everything in the white. So, couple of quirks about these. And this is a very clean gun. So some of the quirks about these are chrome lined barrels. And the reason I think that maybe the trunnions are 5.56 trunnions, because I'm going to show you something here. I'm going to point it out. Let's see if we can see it. If not, I'll take a picture. So look at this. I'm sorry. Wrong. Where is it? Oh, right here. Yeah, no, that's right. See if we can zoom in here. If maybe not. You can kind of see it. So right here. And like I said, now that's Boo-Boo the Fool right there. But right here, I don't know if you can see it. And again, I will roll in a picture. It looks like this lug, this little part of this trunnion is chipped out. So when I first saw that, I compared it to European, or Russian or Komblock guns, and this is a solid piece right here. Now, luckily, the way the bolt locks up, it locks up right here, and it locks up right there. So it locks up on that lug, and it locks up here on this lug. This lug, it doesn't really do anything. But for this larger bolt, because usually this small frame, this is what I was going to show you. This is basically a 7.62x39 bolt that they cut the 223 face for. But let's see if I can get it to do it in here. So normally, that's how your bolt's going to lock up with your two locking lugs. Like I said, here and down here. But it has to, because this bolt is closer, or is bigger, I'm sorry, they had to, for this part of the bolt, this lug coming down, when it rotates down, all right, when it's up like that and it rotates down, they had to knock this part out right here. And also, if that lug had chipped, I've seen on the internet where they're like, oh, it's a chipped lug right there, man. No, that's normal for these rifles. And we'll show you later on why I know that. So that's normal for these rifles. It seems like they just said, just grind that part out so that this bolt lug clears and make it work. But yeah, that's, again, we got the bolt. Let me get it out here. You know, there's also something interesting about these rifles, which is kind of a pain in the rear end, but we might have a solution for it. What do you notice right here? There is no bullet guide. On comm-block guns, you will see another piece of metal with a rivet in right there as a bullet guide. There is no bullet guide, and that helps the round. It kicks up and helps it go into the chamber, almost like a feed ram. The Chinese guns don't have that. At least these 5.56 ones don't. I'm not sure about the 56S. It's been a long time since I've seen one. About the 7.62x39 guns. But the 5.56 guns do not have a bullet guide installed in the trunnion. So, it's just a flat boop right there. I mean, you get a little bit of an angle right here. But so what the Chinese solution was to basically put the feed ramp in the magazine. And I'll show you later on. I forgot to grab one, but I'll roll it in. I'll show you later on. On the comm-block guns, this is lower, significantly lower, like an 1/8 to 3/16 of an inch lower, so that it clears, so the cartridges strip straight off, hit the bullet guide in the trunnion, and go up into the chamber. The Chinese chose to put a little, they raise this up, and it's basically, let's see if we can see it. You got to see it right there. It's grinded. They basically put a little feed ramp in the front of the magazine. So it makes it very problematic. You see how high it rides right there? It's actually riding. I could put this little tool in here and go. So it actually is over the height of the bottom of the trunnion so that it kicks, the cartridges will strip off here, hit this, pop up, and feed in there. And it's a reliable system. It works. But it makes finding mags for these, especially the European ones, they won't work in these guns. They typically just do not work. So you have to go on for the aftermarket or the used market like GB and some other places and buy these magazines. And if you can find them for $100, that's a deal. All right, you scoop them up because that's what they go for. Some people ask ridiculous prices, like double that. But if you could find them for around that price, I would say jump on it. Let's just take a look. It's pretty standard, you know, AK again. It is in the white. You know, this gun has been fired. I don't know how much by how many people, but there's the tail on the bolt. These do have spring-loaded firing pins. So there's that. And yeah, basically that's the issue. The main issue with these guns is they're known to be pretty accurate. They're known to be very reliable and very well made. I mean, the construction on this rifle is really nice. And again, this one looks like it has a very low round count. The problem is no longer imported. So there's a limited number out there. Very expensive for these. And the 223 ones have the proprietary magazines. But as I said, we might have found a solution to that. So you know what? So let's stop talking. And let me put this sucker back together and we'll just go out and we'll fire this bad boy up. Okay, folks. Live fire portion of this review, we have our Norinco 84S chambered in 5.56. We have, I forgot, I didn't count, and it's not full. But we have some Winchester M193 in the red and white box, 55 grain, graciously provided by Mark at Browne Works Inc. You know where to find his info. We're just going to fire this up. I have fired this for a short, and it shot fantastic. Safety's a little stiff, but, you know, I'm not really, and again, it's not the tactical like the newer ones nowadays. 36 years old, guys. So let's just see how it shoots, man. Okay, folks, so I've seen some places online where 84S owners or potential 84S owners, I've heard people say, I want to buy one. Take these off. Looking to buy one, but the magazines are an issue, you know, stuff like that. And they are. Again, they're proprietary. As shown you in the tabletop, the feed ramp is, let me set this down. Let me lean this up against this tripod right here. All right, sweet. So here's a typical European mag. This is a Pro Mag. These, you can pick these up for like $8, $9 sometimes. Usually they hover around $12. But do you see how the ammunition is presented? And you can see the front 2 rounds. And look at the Norinco mag, okay? Look at the difference. Now, this distance varies a little bit depending on if they're Bulgarian, you know, or Russian, whatever, Polish. But you can see that not only are these top 2 rounds showing, but there's even a little space there, and you can see that 3rd round. This one, you just barely see the tip because they use the front of that magazine as a feed ramp. So we're going to see if this one works. Now, I have, spoiler alert, I have tried Bulgarian ones, WBP Polish ones, you know, the PSAs, which work at pretty much any 5.56 AK, except this one's kind of unicorn. But I tried this one earlier and it seemed to work. And now we're going to see if it works, if I can get it in there. Oh, there we go. There we go. So that's a little bit of an issue, you know, not kind of got to, there's no play in it. Let's see if it works. It worked before. Let's just see if it works again. This might be a budget alternative for some cheap range mags for you 84S owners out there. Oh, how much ammo? Oh, do we even have one left? We got 1 round left. Let's shoot it one-handed. 84S Pistolero. All right. All right. So it seemed to work. That was, I don't know how many were in that mag, but it seemed to work. So guys, if you have an 84S, all right, and you're like, I only got the 1 steel mag, because nowadays, if you buy these from the places that they're available, you typically only get your 1 mag, because like I said before, people realize how much these mags are worth. And if you can pick them up for around 100 chicken nuggets, that's a deal. $100, sometimes $8 to $12. So maybe pick you up some cheap Pro Mag range mags, man, to shoot out of your 84S. So that is one of the issues. 9. Woof. I've noticed is the magazine wells aren't like, if you don't hit that mag like just right, like boom, man, you're gonna be like I was doing, struggling with it. Let's try that again. .547, not great, not great. You know, this is definitely not set up as like a speed competition gun, because the mag well in here, it's really tight on a lot of these mags. I have some extra mags that I bought. And if you don't just absolutely nail it, you're gonna be like if you don't nail that sucker perfect, and it's different with each mag. See how it's kind of hanging up, and then if I wiggle it that way, it'll go in. So you really got to nail it on this one. So let's keep trying it though. There we go. 468, not that great, but we nailed it that time. Four, 6, 7, similar to the other one. Yeah, I can't get flying with this one. Some of my other AKs, like my Arsenal Sam 5, some of the Barils and the even like the PSA, I can get them rolling, but this one's not really made for that. So what's cooler than one Norinco 84S? Two Norinco 84Ss. And I know what you're asking yourself. Why do you have two Norinco 84Ss? Because I'm a lad farmer, motherfucker. Okay, folks. So yes, as you can see, I do have two Norinco 84Ss. And the big difference on this one is it's got a different grip with the hash mark. It's a little bit fatter. I think this is actually a 56S grip. And a slant muzzle brake. We'll go back into the tabletop here in a second and get some of the more details about this one. The little bit of the minor differences make it different from the other one. That's pretty much the major differences. Not sure if previous owners changed this stuff out or if it was imported like that. I do have some pictures that I'll show you in a second at the tabletop. It's hard to tell because there's pictures out there of these being like this straight from China. So I don't know. If you guys know, let me know. But let's go to the tabletop real quick. Check out some of the different details from the other one, and then we'll just shoot some more. Okay, folks, so as you saw in the live fire portion, I have two of these rifles. So this is my other Norinco 84S. Few different things on this rifle. Not sure if this was something a previous owner changed or if they came in like this. Like I said before, there have been there's some differences, some rolling changes, and close to the end, it's my understanding that they just tried to get as many rifles into the country as possible. There's even some guns that are like transitional guns that were stuck out on a boat and then had to be demilled, brought into the country, and put different receivers put on them and stuff. But as you can see, this one has more of a Type 56 style grip with the hatch marks, and it's fatter than the normal one. Again, don't know if a previous owner changed that out. Still have all the orange wood, the brass pin in there. This one also has a slant muzzle brake as opposed to my other 84S, which has the distinctive flash hider. But this is the real part of the gun I wanted to show you right here. And like I said, there are different importers, different times, different stamps, stuff like this. So this one has, again, this is also Triangle 66 factory, okay, 84S, 5.56 by 45 millimeter. But see, this one has the Norinco stamp there with the star and the little like gear wheel or whatever. It says Norinco. And again, I forget what Norinco stands for. It's like North China Company conglomerate. It's a bunch of different companies that were together that fell under the Norinco, but it stands for something. Let me know in the comments down below. I forget, it's escaping me right now. But again, here we go. Made in China by Norinco. All right. And this is CIA, Dallas, Texas. Or CSI, I should say. Not CIA. CSI, which is China Sports Incorporated, I think. CSI, Dallas, Texas. So they were importing these into Dallas, Texas for a while. Now, I don't know if the LA gun is before. I think it has a lower serial number. So I don't know, but doing some reading, I thought they were importing them into Dallas first and then brought them into LA. He moved into California. I'm not sure. I have a Norinco 1911, which I think was imported into California by CSI also. There was a couple different importers. I think early guns, actually, some of them came into New York and stuff like that, some of the 56Ss. But that's basically the two differences between these guns is the grip, the muzzle device, and then this one actually has the Norinco star stamp right there as the other one does not, which based on the serial number and the lack of this, to me indicates it was brought in prior to this gun. My understanding is they didn't get much over about 40,000 guns. So this one's 30 whatever. Not sure if that's one of the guns brought in right before the ban took effect, but maybe somebody out there knows some difference. But there's basically two differences, and why I say it's kind of, sometimes they're kind of a hodgepodge. Let me know if anybody out there, if you think this was, I tend to think this was changed out by a previous owner, but I found these pictures right here online, several of these guns set up like this. So that it kind of gives me pause too to think that maybe this configuration for the 84S with this grip and this muzzle brake was, or this slant brake, was actually brought in, imported by the company in this configuration at some point. So let's get back out. Let's keep on shooting. Let's try that again. Now this one has noticeably more recoil than the other one, so I think it's a little bit more overgassed. As you can see, I pulled one down and to the left. Oh yeah, it's a lot more recoil. All right, let's do one more. Oh, we got a malfunction. Now, that's something I was going to tell you guys about this rifle. Look at that. So let's go, you know what, let's go get the final thoughts, and then I'll tie this whole thing in with the final thoughts. But that is a split case. Okay, folks, final thoughts on the Norinco 84S. I think it's fantastic. I like 5.56 AKs. I don't care what anybody says. They shoot great. This is a fantastic rifle. Now, this is the first one I bought. As you see, I got two. So the first one I bought, and it was, the listing said that it was in collector condition, and it pretty much was, because it had no lug wear on the bolts. We're getting a little bit of shiny spot on the lugs, I mean. Get a little bit of a shiny spot. We put about 200 rounds to this sucker today. Flawless, no issues, runs great. It's beautiful. It is in beautiful condition for being 36 years old. And again, now that I see, when I bought it, there was no wear on the lugs. Now there's a little bit of wear on this right lug where AKs like to, you know, there's a shiny spot. It's not wearing it out or anything, but, you know, they like to get shiny spots in their lugs when they're fired. And now there's a little bit. So that indicates to me that this was hardly, if ever, shot at all. And it's a beautiful rifle. Now this one, let me show you this one. We left this one just as you saw it. This one's been struggling a bit, okay? Now, occasionally it does things like this, split cases, or it pierces primers, or the primer backs out a little bit, which to me would indicate a headspace issue. Now, at first, I probably put about 100 rounds to this. I don't shoot it a lot. At first, when I first was firing some 223, I was like, okay, it's working great. But then I picked up some of the cases and it had pierced primers. And I was like, okay, that's not cool. And then I started to get this. So let's unload this. There's probably some, oh, no, there's not any more ammunition in there. Let's unload this. Is there a lot? There is a live round in there. So, all right. Now you saw on the tabletop the few differences with this rifle. Like, it's got the Norinco star in it. On it, it was imported in Dallas, Texas. That one was imported into LA. But it's doing this. Now, it was doing it, you know, I don't know, occasionally. And then I shot some green tip 62 grain out of it and it didn't do it at all. So I thought, okay. I do have headspace gauges. I have 223 and 556 headspace gauges. And yes, they are a little bit different in the case that doing some studying on this stuff. 556 is a min-max. They go min-max. If it doesn't closes on the minimum and it doesn't close on the maximum, anywhere in between, you're good. That's like a military standard thing. But the 223 has the go, no-go, and field gauge. This will close, and the maximum 556 gauge is even longer than the 223 field gauge. This will close on a 223 field gauge. It'll close on all the 223 headspace gauges, but it will not close on a maximum 556 gauge. But it's close, so that indicates to me that it's getting to a dangerous level. I just wanted to bring it out here and shoot it a little bit for the video and see if it and if it happened on camera, I'd show you guys. And it did. Again, split case, and it crunched the front up right there. So I've already, when it first happened, I contacted some of my gun tube buddies and asked if they had, that are in the AK space, asked if they had any recommendations of who to send this to. And they gave me some recommendations. I'm going to reach out to those folks and see if I can send them this rifle to get the headspace corrected. Now, it's my understanding that there's several ways to do that. They can either knock the pin out here, back the barrel up a little bit, maybe drill out the gas hole to fix it. The bolts, and that's one of the problems with these older guns, is the bolt is probably unobtainium. I don't know about the barrel. I got to try to figure out my options. Like I said, I think maybe they knock the trunnion pin, the barrel pin out of the trunnion, bump it back just a cunt hair, drill a bigger trunnion pin hole and put a bigger trunnion pin in there. I don't know, but it definitely needs to be fixed because I do want to shoot this rifle. This one's in rougher shape than the other one. That one probably will not get shot that much anymore. And I would like to shoot this one a lot more. So there it is, guys. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment down below. Do you like 556 AKs in general? Do you like the Norinco ones? Have you, I forgot, I mentioned it earlier, but this one has noticeably more recoil. And that might have something to do with its headspace getting to the maximum allowable level, or its lifespan. I don't want to shoot too much more because I don't want to have a catastrophic explosion or anything. But the recoil is noticeably more on this one than the other one. The other one shoots really smooth. And we were shooting the 55 grain M193 from Winchester and the 62 grain American Eagle green tip stuff out of these. So again, do you have experience with these? Anybody out there? Do you like these? Do you think that, where's the mag at? These $10 pro bags worked? Or, I think I picked these up for $8. I've seen them for 12 on, yeah, man, I couldn't believe that they actually work. They fit and they work in these guns. So there it is, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thanks for watching. We will see you next time.